a review of a show that, as somebody who tries to defend the MCU left and right, man, is one of those things I cannot defend whatsoever. We're talking about Secret Invasion.
You know what's really crazy to me?
What?
We just watched The Haunted Mansion and everything, which is Disney, but unrelated to Marvel in absolutely, any way.
Yeah.
And I watched the entirety of Secret Invasion the 2 days after we saw that, and something just deep down felt similar the entire time, and it was just the weirdest thing, because I'm like, none of this has to do with any of the other thing, but because it's so clearly Disney,
yes,
I feel like I'm watching the same thing, which I think we touched on in another episode where we talked about Disney fatigue, but it's
great episode,
still continuing, and it's really weird how drastically different these things are, but yet they still feel exactly the
so
same.
Similar, because it feels like they're going through the same machine.
Yeah.
It's just like, here are the ingredients, you pump it out through the machine, so when it ends, it feels the same.
Yeah.
It's just like Disney ideas, Disney board saying what you want, saying what they want to have in their things, that way it appeals to the broadest audience, even though they're wrong. Give it to ILM. Cross your fingers. Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
The lowest Rotten Tomatoes scored MCU Disney Plus TV show, very specific.
Don't just tell me how you feel about it, walk me through it.
Walk you through it?
Yeah, walk me through it.
So basically, Secret Invasion is something from the comics, where, to put it in simple terms, the Skrulls from Captain Marvel came down from whatever planet they were on, and it just impersonated people. There are these beings that can impersonate and take the looks of people. No, you gotta go from the ground up.
No, I'm saying walk me through how you felt while watching.
Oh, how I felt. I thought you wanted me to explain the story to you. That's what I was doing.
I mean, yeah, I guess we can do a little.
Basically, the
bit
Skrulls can copy your brain. They can copy your looks, eyeballs. Oh my God, the onion, and they can copy your powers. The show is basically about
powers.
Yes, they can.
Not originally.
Oh, you're right. No, I'm talking the comics.
Oh, okay.
Comics they can.
What's the point of Taskmaster?
That's the same thing. Same shit, different font.
Same exact fucking way.
So in the show, it's basically let's take Nick Fury. He has a history with the Skrulls from Captain Marvel, and Nick's got to come down from space because this is his personal thing that he has to fix. It's another international organization that just wants somewhere to live that isn't falling apart, and then they start killing people, so they're the villain, just like Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then everything goes bad, and it ends with a CGI punching fest until one of them dies.
So you said it was like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but clearly, and like what they were going for, and I've even seen it on the internet, is they're actually going for just the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I know. The vibe was this...
and they did it so much better in the Winter Soldier as far as the, who's a Skrull thing? Because I feel like they're like, oh my God, they could be anybody. First episode, okay, so these are the Skrulls. And it's just like, no, part of the enjoyment is not knowing who it is.
Well, see...
And, spoiler alert, obviously, but,
Rhodey's a Skrull.
Rhodey being a Skrull... Was he a woman Skrull? He looked kind of feminine in Skrull form.
I don't know. I kind of got that vibe.
That's what I was saying. So,
the Skrulls weren't, they all just kind of looked the same.
That's racist.
No, from a makeup standpoint.
Yeah.
There's they made a couple of their little features different, but for the most part, they all look the same.
Yeah. And that's kind of the same problem with all MCU aliens.
Yes.
They all just kind of have a very generic look.
It's cannon fodder. It's the same thing with the Chitauri.
Well, it's also like how it is in the comics and stuff like that. They're always just background drawings, so they all just look fairly
They all
the
look
same.
the same. It's the same thing, copy and paste it 100 different times, because you don't want to draw 100 different individual characters who all aren't going to necessarily impact the story significantly.
Nah.
You're not going to create 100 different characters for fucking 2 pages.
No, I mean, even in Dragon Ball, when Goku's far away from the screen, they don't even put a face on him.
Exactly.
He's just a dude.
And then you can always tell what rock he's going to smash into.
Yeah. Like Tom and Jerry with the door that opens.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Or the rock that Goku's going to fly into.
Yeah, or the rock that Tom and Jerry walk into. Or the rock that the Roadrunner runs into. There's a lot of rocks.
Secret Invasion.
Not so secret.
My opinion, no, not at all. Not
even a little bit.
I heard today that apparently there were crazy reshoots for 4 months.
Really? Because it looks like that entire thing was shot in 3 weeks.
Exactly. That's the vibe that I'm getting.
Yeah.
Honestly, I hated it. I think it's the first MCU property that I've watched that, besides Moon Knight. I really didn't like Moon Knight. But even Moon Knight, I could be like, oh man, that's cool. He's a giant thing fighting a giant bird with a skull with no head. But I just, dude, there was never a point in the show where it made me feel engaged. And it sucks because I was like, man, fuck, this is Nick Fury.
Well,
Post-credit scene 2008 Iron Man.
Yeah.
Finally has his own show, and it's bad.
because they don't show you his progression between the blip and now. They're just like, man, I didn't handle the blip too
Man,
well.
the blip really
then
just
they
impacted
introduce his
him.
wife, which is never a question I've ever had
No.
about the character. She's fine in the show, but like
Exactly.
I never needed that.
She was great as an action, whatever.
Him
but there
being
was
that
never...
like loner, just like I'm just in charge of this thing, like was what worked for him.
Yes.
And they tried to add more story because they apparently didn't have any, which is the other problem it has. Is very clearly someone wrote an hour and a half story and stretched it out into 6 episodes. They couldn't even fake it into 10.
Which is crazy because 6 episodes is meant to be like we're gonna compress it 6 episodes straight
Yeah.
with nothing but story.
They're just
And you
pumping
still
shit
dropped
out.
the
And
ball?
you had years. This was supposed to be like the next big thing.
This should have been an Avengers movie.
And it was just
Let's be honest. The reason that it sucked is because of a budget. In theory, Secret Invasion, it could be anybody. So you have to have the Avengers, and then like 3 of them are like, shit, man, I've been a Skrull for like 4 or 5 years. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys. But you can't.
yeah.
You can't bring a Chris Hemsworth in because it's going to cost you $5-10 million.
Yeah.
Which is the entire budget of an entire episode.
It would have been really crazy if they used it to bring back Tony and be like, nah, I wasn't Tony. I was a Skrull who killed myself.
That would be.
And now
See,
I'm Tony.
But that's what you do.
Yeah.
You basically, in a perfect world, you make an Avengers movie where Tony was a Skrull for a couple movies, and he comes back and he has to like speed round some of his character progression.
The only problem with that is that means Morgan would probably be a Skrull. Skrull baby. But
But regardless, it's this huge impactful story that they're like, nah, man, 6 episodes, Disney Plus, that's fine.
yeah, and it just
And poor Amelia Clark, man, she's just brought it and leave the cat alone.
said very careful. Okay.
Good job, Karma. Amelia Clark, man,
Okay. My
she's
problem
like 0
wasn't
for
even
3.
her. No.
Terminator.
She was fine. In Terminator, she was still bad. In this, she was fine. She was whatever. The villain, who was also in Barbie as one of the Kens, was actually really good in this. I didn't think he could act
The
like
villain
that.
was great,
Especially
when he's like holding Nick's face and he's like, I'm a good
yeah. And like seeing him in Barbie, I'm like, this dude's gonna be terrible. And then I
Yeah.
watched this and I'm like, oh, he can actually act. No wonder
Like,
he
he's
was
actually kind of
That's
menacing.
probably why he was in Barbie, but they gave him nothing to do. But also the ending was so goddamn dumb.
Yeah.
They turned Amelia Clark into Kevin 11.
I didn't even get that.
Yeah.
Good job.
Or just like, a fucked up action figure where like, I'm gonna shove this arm
I'm
on
gonna
this
put
thing
this arm
now.
on this thing.
And
I'm gonna
just-
take your head.
And they're like, I got the DNA, but it only works in my arms. Like, why
Yeah.
couldn't I get a Hulk body? Why is it just, I got biceps?
You know what I was listening to the Weekly Planet today.
Yeah.
And they,
I keep looking at that one. I know.
they were like, it's crazy that you get Ebony Maw's powers. Ebony Maw from the first from
I
Infinity
saw
War.
that. That was kind of a cool
They were
throwback.
like-
It's all the villains too and
But
everything.
he gets his jewelry too.
Did he?
So like the arm grows and it's like it's got the pieces and then it's got his ring. So he's like,
That doesn't make any sense.
exactly. That's the whole
They
thing.
didn't get the shirt. It was still just like weird fucking thing. But no, the rings come out unless those are part of him.
That
Also, I loved how half the time they needed a fight, and they used a Hulk arm once, but they all went for Abomination multiple times, and then Korg.
yeah.
Also,
Or
do you
Groot.
have to be aware? Yeah, and Groot.
But I love that
But, like-
they were like, oh, clearly the solution is just to keep going back to Captain Marvel.
You know what the biggest flaw in all of it was? So many of those heroes have a healing factor, and that dude got a hole in his chest and went, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Just like
He
you
even
had,
had Extremis in him
yeah.
from Iron Man 3, which was a cool way to fucking,
A
full
lot of
circle,
people
whatever.
had that.
Yes.
Like, that was so weird. Such a weird throwback.
I thought it was great. You were like, oh man, Iron Man 3, this movie that you never fucking talk about or relate
I
to.
thought it was cool, but I'm just, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying, like, what? Why? Like, everyone
then he
hated
just
that movie,
dies.
and then, like, yeah. It's
Villain
just
of the week.
really weird. And now everybody's saying, like, Amelia Clark's the strongest person in the
Yeah.
MCU now.
Oh my god.
You know what
I
helps with
can't
that?
stop. The same thing.
Technically, but it's like how a square is a circle, but
Square is a rectangle, but a
square-
rectangle is not
yes.
a square.
a square is not a circle.
Yeah. They're quite opposites, actually.
All these squares make a circle.
I think the worst part about the show is if we're going to continue to rip into this goddamn show, that I was also like, the first MCU show I didn't care about. Like, Andor's one thing because Star Wars, I could be here
You
or
and me
there.
both didn't watch Miss Marvel.
I watched Miss Marvel.
You
didn't
said
watch
you
it.
skipped it.
No.
Oh, okay.
We watched it and I loved it. Timmy hated it.
I heard it was great, but I have not watched
It's
it.
the best reviewed MCU
I
TV
have
show.
to watch it because The Marvels is coming out now.
Yes, you do.
And I'm going to be so confused.
And The Marvels is a direct sequel to Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Secret Invasion.
You know what the worst thing is?
What?
That's the one show I skipped, and that's the only one I needed to watch to keep up with these besides WandaVision. And the entire point of these shows was they're like, oh, you have to watch these so you can come back in, and not a single one was intertwined besides these two.
Yeah.
And it's been 4 years.
Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be one, because that's going to tie right into Captain America New World Order.
But that show ended right after Loki, which was like
sad?
2 years ago, and we're not getting that movie for another 2 years.
You know what's really sad? My mic just attacked.
Mike assaulted you? Yeah.
It did. It used to be so simple that you'd be like, oh man, it's a follow-up. The MCU, this next movie, clearly continues the universe, and it'll directly impact. But now they have to come out and say and be like, oh, no, man, The Marvels is a direct sequel to Secret Invasion. And Captain America New World Order is a direct sequel to The Marvels. Then after that, Thunderbolts is a direct. You shouldn't have to come out and be like, yes, the movie that's coming out as a sequel in our universe is a genuine tied-in sequel.
Yeah.
That's fucking stupid.
But hearing what Bob Iger's talking about and everything, cutting the shows back and stuff, hopefully it'll get back on track. But especially with the writer's strike and everything, it may be too late.
No, I don't think it's too late. I'll stand by it. The MCU has made them billions upon billions of dollars.
But I don't think it's ever going to be where it was, which is why it's a perfect
100%.
time for the DCEU to come out now, which
apparently is getting budget cuts because of the bombs.
Yeah. Well, the real problem right now is Blue Beetle as well is also apparently going to bomb.
It's going to bomb.
But
really
the problem was the Flash should have came out and they should have cut Blue Beetle and Aquaman immediately, have this 2-year hiatus because the writer strikes or whatever, and then come back out and do whatever. Instead, they're just like, this is kind of part of it, right?
We're steering to the skid, man. Joker people loved. The Batman was great. Why do you need to build from scratch?
Yeah.
Build off of what you have. Why do you have to go, we're going to make another Batman movie after we just had fucking Ben Affleck this year?
And they're like, oh, well, everyone's like, oh, the DC universe is too gritty, which is why it's not working. No, you made it work. Twice. Actually, you made it work 5 times because the whole Christopher Nolan thing fucking worked. Yep. But you just did it again, and it worked super well. So continue with that. But I'm excited for what James Gunn is doing. I'm just worried we're never going to get this. So,
Secret Invasion. The worst part, I keep saying the worst part because there's more and more bad things.
Yeah.
I think the genuine worst part is what they did to Rhodey. He's been a Skrull since Civil War. Yeah. And I would have thought, right, that the director would come out and be like, nah, like this. And then Kevin Feige would be like, nah, actually, he's been a Skrull since, like, post-Endgame because he had to deal with Tony's whatever. And then, but the director just keeps coming out and doubling down. He's like, nah, man, I was expecting death threats after saying that he's been a Skrull since Civil War, especially around Tony's death. Like, you're like, people are like, how could you say this? And he's like, no.
Oh, my God, he doesn't know that Tony's dead.
No.
Oh, my God.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Between Infinity War,
but that could be a cool character arc now because he missed that, so now he's back.
That's not character arc. That's just trauma.
Yeah,
he's just a traumatized man.
So was everybody else because of the blip, which he missed.
Can you imagine trying to explain that to him? So basically, right
half
after
the universe fucking died,
we got paralyzed, back. And then they these green people who shapeshift, they kidnapped you, and then this purple guy from space with these really powerful rocks came down, and he snapped his fingers, and everybody died. But then somebody else snapped again. They came, and then Tony died.
The greatest thing is, they're like, oh yeah, he was him from Civil War, but they couldn't have made it easy on him and been like, nah, the Skrull's the one that got crippled. No, he got crippled, then replaced.
Bang, no more.
And then now he's out of the thing again, and they're just carrying around. I'm like, oh yeah, the Skrull was not wearing leg braces at all.
No, but that's the thing.
He was in Endgame.
Yes.
Because he was trying to keep up the charade, and I guess after everyone just fucking died, he's like, you know what? No one looks at me. I'm not an important Avenger. I'm taking
wearing
this off.
The brace from Falcon and the Winter Soldier and on. So the easy thing is to be like,
was he Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
He was in the first episode when he went to the museum. To give him the shield. He was like, I can't believe you fucking gave him the shield, man.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I don't remember
what he said.
Okay.
Not a very good show. Wait for us to do that tier list. You have no idea.
But
I just... It's so wasted because it would have been one thing if they sowed the seeds if they started Infinity War and they were like, hey Don, man, you're a Skrull, you're not Rhodey anymore, so play him a bit differently. But you had these 2 huge movies back to back and these like 4 or 5 years of this dude just continuing to play this character thinking it's a genuine reaction, and now you have to go back and retcon everything.
Well, here's a couple things about that do kind of work in that favor. You're
being so optimistic about this.
I don't know. All of the moments that Rhodey has with Tony that are genuine, heartfelt moments are before he's a Skrull. So none of that's flawed. I saw this online the other day. The moment where Nebula reaches into the thing and she goes, I wasn't always like this. And he was like, neither was I. Has another layer to it.
Yeah.
And shit, I had one more thing. Just it. I don't know. The only thing I will say is that he very clearly was trying to play someone else playing himself in this,
Yeah.
but didn't know that in the other one, so was just playing himself.
Yep.
So it's clearly a different character, and it's really annoying because it's just like, you're not even trying. Why is everybody else falling for this? And also, I was kind of hoping that like they would be dead, because like it's one of those things again where it's just like, oh no, when people are gone now, nah, we got you, they're back now. Like I love Martin Freeman, but I thought he was gone. I thought he was dead, and then
Yeah.
it was like, oh, he's brought back. Which, by the way, is the second time that's happened. And
Is it really?
at World's End with Simon Pegg, aliens come down and replace everybody on Earth with robots, and Martin Freeman gets replaced.
Can you guess
How many Martin Freemans?
how many Martin Freemans does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Like 4, because he got replaced.
What is the Rotten
twice.
Tomatoes score of Secret Invasion? Can you guess?
56.
Can you guess what the Rotten Tomatoes score is of the finale? Officially the lowest rated MCU thing
37.
ever. No.
12?
No.
Higher?
7. Single digits. It's
Ooh.
universally very not good.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
No one wants to see 2 fucking mutilated action figures fighting each other.
What?
Mutilated action figures? Like, as much as we like him in, like, Spider-Man, like, Homecoming and everything like that, or Far From Home, whatever it was,
Yeah.
like, he
That wasn't him.
really... Yeah, but he also really didn't do anything.
No.
And he
Nick
did...
Fury is at his best when he stands around and just says shit.
Yeah. And in this, he did things, and it was bad. Also, I'm almost positive he was wearing a fake beard for half of that, because, like you said, there were reshoots,
Yeah.
and he has, like, shaved face, full beard, goatee. I'm like, they're not making him grow and shave every time they need to do something.
There was one good scene in that show that I'll admit is when Don Cheadle's like, "You're fired, man. Get out." And,
Yeah.
and he comes up and he's like, "Even when I'm out."
Well, no, like you said earlier, I really liked when the main villain was, like, shaking Nick Fury's head. Reminded me of,
Yeah, but see, but Samuel L. Jackson was also acting in a way of like, "Oh, I'm dying, but I'm also not me right now."
Yeah.
So he's like yelling at him, and he's like,
I don't know, I liked it, because I'm like, Nick Fury would beat his ass right now if he didn't have, like, this crippling radiation poisoning. But also,
those
it
iodine
reminded me of the
pills, man.
Adam Sandler meme from Billy Madison where he grabs the fucking kid's face and he's like, stay as long as you can. And, like, you know what I'm talking about at all?
"Nope,
Like,
never seen Billy Madison, to be honest."